Quickly before we get started, in regards to my X-Men Evolution video, a lot of you have been asking, am I going to be doing that type of video in regards to other cartoons? The answer is yes, absolutely. The response to that video has been phenomenal. I'm so happy. So yes, absolutely, I am going to be covering more X-Men cartoons and more sort of just Marvel and DC cartoons overall. The next one in that series will be next week, and in that video I'm going to explain how frequently I'm going to be doing that type of video. But if you want to know when I upload that next week, make sure to turn on the notification bell and follow me on social media, and you will find out as soon as it's up. Today on the show, we're going to find out what it's like when a Robin turns bad and becomes Batman. We're going to find out what it's like when Raven embraces Trigon and then becomes Dark Raven. We're gonna find out what it's like in the future where the Titans turn evil and rule by fear. The Sea Lion Cafe, San Francisco, 5:49 p.m. Connor is waiting on Cassie because the two of them have a friendship date. Now keep in mind, Cassie isn't normally late for their dates, but this time she turns up all dressed up, and Connor is really surprised by this because their relationship is evolving to be something more than friendship. When she sits down and their conversation starts, it's pretty normal at first. She asks him what life on the farm is like, and then he asks what it's like to have parents because he's actually a clone and therefore never had real parents. But then, mid-conversation, a portal opens up in the middle of the restaurant and sucks Connor in. Cassie tries to save him, but she's not fast enough, and Connor is gone. But when she turns around, Connor has reappeared through another portal, looking slightly different, and he's wearing the Superboy Legion of Superheroes costume. And he tells Cassie that the future depends on them before passing out. So this is where I should probably get into the finer details of the story. This story is part of the Jeff Johns run of the Teen Titans. It was released in October or November of 2004. And the beginning part of the Titans of Tomorrow storyline is actually a story that involves the Legion of Superheroes. The power of the Legion of Superheroes basically explains what the Titans are doing in their own future. So we're going to cover the precursor really quickly. But let me know if you want me to cover anything to do with the Legion of Superheroes. I really want to talk about the Legion of Superheroes cartoon, but if you want me to do some Legion of Superheroes comic books, if you want me to do a history of the Legion of Superheroes, let me know. Let me know your ideas in the comments because I want to hear them. So, Cassie flies back to the Titans Tower with Connor in her arms. And when she gets there, Raven actually does say that Superboy is about 5 months older, and whatever he's experienced in the future has caused him some severe mental trauma. This is when Superboy's hand opens up, and it's been clenched tight this entire time, and out drops enough Legion flight rings for all of the Titans. And the only one of them to know what these rings are is Bart, because keep in mind, Bart is actually from the same future as the Legion of Superheroes. But that's when a portal opens in the middle of the Titans Tower and the Titans are attacked. They try their best to fight this guy, but it is a losing battle. Cyborg gets his arm ripped off. It is insane. Cassie is eventually able to use her lasso to electrocute the guy, and the guy escapes back into a portal in the future. But before they go in, Superboy wakes up and makes all of them put on Legion flight rings before they go in, because if they go in without one, they would probably die. When they get to the other side, they're greeted by Cosmic Boy and the Legion of Superheroes, and all of the Titans individually are legendary in this future. No one's really heard of the Teen Titans in the future, but the Titans individually are really famous, especially Robin. Superboy explains that he was brought forward into the future 5 months ago, and he wasn't able to return to the past until he was able to remember the exact moment that he was taken forward in time. Because when you're forced forward in time, it does mess with your mind and your memories, and he was only able to get back to the past with the help of Saturn Girl, because Saturn Girl is a telepath. The reason the Legion need help is because the Persuader, the guy that attacked the Titans in the tower, is using his atomic axe to cut holes through the ripples of the space-time continuum itself and pull into this universe alternate universe versions of the Fatal Five. So the Fatal Five are amassing a massive army of themselves, which they are calling the Fatal 500. The Titans are really disorientated by all of this information. They've got no time to take in, and then suddenly they're thrown right into the middle of a battle, and this battle is a losing battle. It is the Titans plus the Legion against an army of 500 supervillains. So Raven teleports everyone away to the Legion HQ so that everyone can discuss exactly what's going on and come up with a battle plan. As everyone's talking, Cassie quickly realizes Connor doesn't use the name Connor anymore. He's only been using the name Superboy. And when Cassie asks him about this, he won't answer her question. So then she's like, well, do you want to stay in the future? And again, he just kind of dances around this question. He won't answer it. He instead runs away to his room to get changed. This is when Brainiac announces that he's come up with a plan. His plan is basically to have Bart and his cousin generate vibrational signals using the Speed Force. They'll bounce these vibrational signals off of the Legion's satellite headquarters and alter them so they will anatomically reset everything that is not of this world, effectively sending the Fatal 500 back to their own universes. Both teams begin to get everything set up, but obviously the Fatal 500 weren't going to wait around and a massive battle breaks out once again. And also, Bart can't really focus on getting in touch with the Speed Force, knowing he can go and visit his mother real quickly. He just wants to go and say hi to her. So he turns to his cousin and says, look, I'm going to go visit my mum. You hold this for me while I go and do that. And his cousin's like, okay, but don't abandon me. So Bart runs off, he sees his mum. She tells him that she's really proud of him for becoming Kid Flash. And as Bart hugs her and then runs off, she also lets out that he will become the Flash. Back in the battle, Cassie is about to be killed by an atomic axe, but that's when Superboy turns up in his Titans outfit and saves her life. And right as this happens, the Legion is able to generate enough vibrational energy to set their plan in motion. And it works a little bit too well. All the alternate Fatal Fives are sent back to their parallel universes, but then the Legion headquarters is sucked into a rift between the space-time continuum. Kon-El was able to hold onto one last atomic axe, and it's revealed that he has to make a choice. Either he can send the Legion home, or he can send the Titans home. But whoever he doesn't choose will be lost in the space-time continuum forever. Here's the thing, he can't bring the Titans into the future with him without causing destruction. So then Superboy's like, well, I'm not going to choose between my groups of friends. I'll just bring the Legion into the past with me and we'll figure things out when we get there. And right as Superboy is about to make his choice, the Persuader turns up, forces the axe out of his hands, and this causes a ripple effect, sending the Titans back into the past, but trapping the Legion in between the space-time continuum. As the Titans are literally falling through time, they see a number of possible futures for themselves, and eventually they land on the Titans Island exactly 10 years in the future from the moment that they left. And as for the Legion of Superheroes, they actually end up breaking out of being lost in the space-time continuum, but they're changed ever so slightly. But they end up continuing their lives. Kind of. So just to give you an idea of where the Titans have ended up in the future. When the Joker's daughter goes on a rampage, Tim as Batman turns up to deal with her. Tim is literally showing no mercy in this fight. As Batman, he is ruthless. But so is Dula. She reveals that she's behind the death of Alfred, Betty Kane, and countless civilians. And that's when Tim has had enough of this fight, pulls out a gun, and shoots Dula square in the head. But this is when Tim gets a call from Connor, and Connor, who is Superman in this timeline, reveals that someone has managed to get onto the Titans Island and pass the Titans' DNA security. So the entire team is going to gather to attack these invaders. Meanwhile, on the island, the Teen Titans quickly realize that this is not their time. Number one, all the damage the Persuader did is gone. Like, that. Also, the statue in the courtyard has been replaced. It used to be of the founding Titans, and now it's of the Titans as they are now. Raven also notes that across San Francisco Bay, not a single person on the island feels any hope, let alone any other emotions. They also find that there's an entirely new room of the Titans Tower called the Hall of Mentors, and it starts out fairly normal. There's a statue of Max Mercury there honoring him, and Bart's like, yes, that makes sense. But there's also a statue of Lex Luthor with his back to Superman, and Superboy's like, Lex wants me to take him on as my mentor, but I would never do that. And there's also a statue of Ares, the god of war, and Cassie's like, Ares wants me to take him on as my mentor. We have some kind of weird connection, but I would never do that. He's evil. And that's when the future Titans come home and they believe the past Teen Titans to be clones, so they attack. However, future Bart, the Flash, does point out that he remembers when the team were time displaced 10 years ago. But he doesn't really remember it all that clearly, and the rest of the team don't remember it at all because time travel does mess with your memories if you're not careful with it. As they begin to fight each other, the Ravens realize that if one of them gets hurt with their soul self, they both get hurt, which means they're the same person. Lorena, who is Aquawoman, and she's a new member of the team in the future, even says that every single person there has the same mental wavelength and it's messing with her telepathy, meaning they are all really meeting their past selves. So the two teams talk and the future Titans are like, look, we don't want you to change our future. We quite like who we've grown to be, so you shouldn't leave the tower. You shouldn't see the world as it is. And the past Titans agree that they'd rather not mess with the time stream. But that night, as they're getting ready for bed, Superboy and Robin are talking, and Superboy is like, wow, your future self is really hardcore. And Tim is not having it. He's just like, no, I am never going to become Batman. And Connor is like, yeah, whatever. I want to go and talk to Superman, see if I can get my head around this whole Lex Luthor thing. And as he goes looking for the future Titans, he finds them torturing Deathstroke, and he also hears them talking about erasing the past Titans' memories. Then we cut to future Bart. Turns out he's actually a double agent, and he wants to save the past Titans and send them back into the past before they're made to forget, so they can stop this future from happening at all. And it also turns out he's in a relationship with Rose Wilson, Deathstroke's daughter. Back with Superboy, he runs to Robin and is like, we have to get out of here. Our future selves are psychos. In the future, we're the bad guys. The Teen Titans begin to plan their escape, and Raven does note the Titans have become emotionless in the future. Like the core of their very beings have become cold. As the team are about to hijack one of the vehicles, Deathstroke and the Titans turn up and everyone begins to fight. Superboy uses his laser vision on Superman, and Wonder Woman actually ends up saving Superman, and then Deathstroke uses this opportunity to escape. The Teen Titans decide to follow close behind because, yeah, running seems like a better idea than fighting their future selves who know everything about them. Bart asks Raven to teleport all of them to the Keystone Museum, and as she's teleporting them, Dark Raven actually tries attacking Raven with her soul self, and this causes Tim to be left out of the teleportation, and he ends up kidnapped by the future Titans. Superboy wants to teleport back right away, but Raven is too exhausted. Being attacked by her own soul self, regardless of whether it's now or in the future, is exhausting for her. When the team asks why they're there, Bart says that there's something called the cosmic treadmill there, and while in their time it's broken, it might have been repaired during this 10-year period, and it's the only lead they've got, so they might as well give it a chance. The cosmic treadmill allows people that have a connection with the Speed Force to travel through time at will. Back with Tim, his future self is taunting him, saying he knows exactly what he's thinking, saying how he thinks that he'll never become Batman no matter what, but he's going to make sure that Tim has no choice in the matter. He also says that he's known for quite some time that the Flash has been a double agent. This is how he was prepared for the Titans coming forward in time, because he had actually forgot previously. But he found out from the Flash what was going to happen, and their enemies have been preparing for this themselves. This version of Batman believes that heroes' old morals and old ways of doing things don't work anymore, and heroes now have to rule with an iron fist. So let's just talk about Tim real quick, or all of the Robins and their legacy. You see, all of the Robins eventually begin to surpass Batman in one of his key aspects. But in a thematic sense, contained within this story, we have Tim seeing that he will surpass the world's greatest detective. But he can't be happy about that because he also sees the mantle of Batman has corrupted him, like it corrupts Bruce sometimes. He's become dark and violent, all the negative parts of Batman that Tim specifically doesn't want to exist. Keep in mind, when Tim first became Robin, he actually ended up becoming Robin because he was trying to get Dick to become Robin again because Batman had gone off the rails. So seeing this darkness and this negativity radiate from himself just fills him with fear and confusion. Batman takes Tim to the Arkham graveyard. Now this is actually where the Arkham Asylum used to be, but Dula Dent destroyed the asylum while breaking out her own father. She killed every single hero in Gotham that you could imagine, including Cassandra and Alfred, alongside the graves of all the heroes in this graveyard, the graves of Penguin, Two-Face, every villain that you can imagine. And it's not long before Tim finds Bruce's grave. Now keep in mind, Tim's own father had only died a few months ago, and he's still getting over that. So to see the real grave of his secondary father figure, it's overwhelming for him. And to see how he deals with this in the future by not fighting through it, not fighting for a better tomorrow, but by becoming dark and ruling tomorrow with darkness. He doesn't like that. And he doesn't know what to do with all these emotions that he's feeling, so he just lashes out at Batman. And obviously, because he's not thinking right, Batman easily defeats him. During this fight, Batman actually tells Tim that he doesn't want to hurt Tim, he just wants to erase his memories to make sure that this future definitely comes to pass. Back with the Titans, they're running through the Keystone Flash Museum, and there are some things that they don't quite understand. Like there's a portrait of an older Donna Troy, but Donna Troy is dead in their time. And Raven also notes that the people of this city actually feel emotion and they feel hope. When they get to the cosmic treadmill, they find that it's gone, and they also set off an alarm for the museum, so the Titans run outside, and when they get outside, they run into the Titans East. And they tell the Teen Titans that they are the good guys. They go with the Titans East to their tower, which is actually the original Titans tower. Beast Boy actually just says, look, we want to trust you. We do, but how do we know we can trust you? And Future Cyborg basically just says, what choice do you have? Let's be real about that. The Titans East begin to explain exactly what happened to make the world end up this way. The Titans West wanted to create a military state free of disease, crime, and poverty, and they succeeded by having Dark Raven absorb everyone on the West's free will. This spread to all 50 of the United States. It's only thanks to the Titans East that 12 of the states have been liberated, but they are still fighting and forming a rebellion. And should the Teen Titans ever break up and go their separate ways, this future will come to pass. Corey begins talking with this young girl who uses the name Batwoman. Batwoman was apparently Bruce Wayne's final and finest protege, and she tells Starfire, look, I know you're not around in this future, but you are alive, you're off with Nightwing. When you go back to the past, find him. Starfire wants to know who this girl is and why she knows so much about her life, but before she can answer, the Flash comes running through and warns the team that the Titans West are coming. The Titans West break in and tell the Titans East to hand over the kids, and they will let this rebellion continue on like nothing ever happened. Both cyborgs turn this down and both teams begin to fight. Superboy actually takes on Superman directly this time and tells Superman that he does not deserve to wear the S. Starfire and Wonder Girl team up on Wonder Woman, and Terra actually finishes her off. And Bumblebee attacks Dark Raven and defeats her with bees. Literally bees. This woman was able to brainwash all 50 of the United States. She was able to absorb all of their emotions with pure darkness. She is the daughter of one of the most powerful cosmic demons in the universe, and her weakness is bees. Back at Drake Manor's Batcave, Tim is about to be brainwashed by Batman, and Batman actually reveals that the gun he uses is the same one that was used to kill Thomas and Martha Wayne. But that's when Superman gets in touch with Batman and tells him the battle is not going in their favor, and he crashes through the ceiling out of nowhere. Turns out he was defeated by Superboy and Captain Marvel, but it turns out Batman actually has a recording of Captain Marvel saying his name, and when he plays back this recording, it depowers him. Then as Superboy is freeing Tim, Batman actually punches Superboy with a kryptonite ring. This is where the rest of the Titans turn up, because it turns out the cosmic treadmill is in the Batcave, and Tim begins to fight Batman as the rest of the Titans head for the cosmic treadmill. Tim and Batman fight, and Tim is actually able to make quick work of Batman. Now he's able to think clearly. He actually ends up forcing Batman to drop the gun into the depths of the cave, essentially signifying the fact that fighting without a gun makes him better. Tim goes to join all of his friends, and as he's doing so, it actually turns out the blonde girl is Betty Kane. Even though Tim saw her grave, apparently at some point Tim makes a deal with Ra's al Ghul, and this brings her back from the dead. But before they can talk more, both Barts begin to power up the cosmic treadmill, and as it's about to hit full power, the evil Titans start to recover. So the good Titans hold them off while the Teen Titans use the treadmill and end up back in their own time. And when they're home, they know they are definitely home because the sun is shining and Raven can feel hope no matter what direction she faces. And as the story ends, Tim and Connor agree that no matter what, the Titans have to stay together. But as the story ends, we see the future Superman going to Lex Luthor, who he refers to as his father, for advice. And Lex Luthor just tells him, power through this. This future hasn't been erased yet. And that's where this story ends. I really like this story. Jeff Johns' run on the Titans is probably my second favorite, next to the Marv Wolfman and George Perez run. The Marv Wolfman and George Perez run, though, is legendary. This story is actually really exciting in multiple different perspectives. Number one, it's just a good story. You can read it, you can have fun. Number two, if you were reading it as it came out, you didn't expect most of these events that were listed as possible things that could happen to happen. But a number of them actually do happen. Like at one point, Tim actually does have to make a deal with Ra's al Ghul. He doesn't in the end, but the deal that Betty was talking about would have brought her back from the dead. But actually in the main timeline, when Tim is about to make that deal, she's not actually dead, but had it applied to her, it would have brought her back. And also, there's just so much to unpack in this story in relation to Tim and his relationship with Batman, in regards to himself becoming Batman, in relationship to Bruce, because Bruce is simultaneously his father figure while also being the one thing he definitely doesn't want to become. Like, Bruce is not a role model for him, but he's also a father figure that he kind of wants to be like, but not entirely. Their relationship is really complicated, but that's why when Tim is Robin, it really works. Also, I think this is the first time that Nightwing and Starfire's relationship was addressed since the 90s comic, and this story actually leads to Starfire joining the Outsiders, I believe. I might have got my dates a bit mixed up there, but I believe that's what happens. The story happens, then Starfire leaves the Titans to do a stint on the Outsiders, specifically so she can be close to Dick. And this isn't the only time this future has appeared in the comics. There is another storyline that we'll cover another day. Also, with this future still being around, I'd actually like for this future to appear in the pages of Young Justice, because at the moment in Young Justice, they're doing this whole multiverse thing at the moment. Let's throw some time travel in there and have some iconic characters reappear. Like, I would love to see Red Devil again. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. So what did you think of the story? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, do all of my social links. Don't forget to check out my Patreon if you want early access to all of my videos. Just $1 gets you early access. But for now, my name is Faust. This has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.